All right, this is Jennifer in Wilmington, and I think we are set and ready to get started.
That's a wonderful way to interrupt the middle of the day. Thank you, all of the staff that come, and thank you for our guests who are joining us today as Trillium recognizes Developmental Disability Awareness Month. This month, we want to ask our communities to partner with us to be inclusive, and that's the tagline, be inclusive, by welcoming people of all abilities where we work, play, and live. Our communities are only as strong as our people. As a managed care company, one of Trillium's primary goals is to reduce stigma and barriers to full inclusion that is sometimes associated with mental health issues, substance use disorders, and intellectual or other developmental disabilities. When people don't have a personal experience with someone living with these conditions, it's not familiar and sometimes can be unknown. By increasing awareness and acceptance, we help demonstrate to the public that we all have the same value and potential. Trillium launched our Inclusive Playground years ago, and we saw amazing results from the public. We always believed that the idea, if kids play together, it just breaks down all of those barriers. And this is how you reduce stigma and fear of the other. So everything that we hope to see accomplished with those playgrounds just exceeded our wildest expectations. Today, we're going to be really fortunate to hear from examples of other successful agencies that have embraced this ideal. We have staff visiting us from the Sensible Snack Food Trucks, a joint venture with Easter Seals UCA, who will talk about all of the benefits of hiring an inclusive workforce. A manager from the Wilmington YMCA will join us in the Wilmington office to talk about the adaptive classes and programs that are welcoming to everyone. And a representative from Vocational Rehab will offer tools and advice to employers who are interested in joining our campaign to be inclusive. So I think we've got a really terrific program for you guys this morning. Hope this is a lot of fun, and I'm really pleased to see all of the turnout. Somebody needs to mute, but I'm done, and now I think I'm turning it over to Cindy.
We're going to play that video. Okay, thank you. I'm Cindy Ellers, Executive Vice President for Clinical and Network Operations. I have some other guests here today that are with our new partnership around Family Navigator that I'm going to let introduce themselves in just a second to talk about why Family Navigator is important for our system and why it is going to be a game changer for families with intellectual developmental disabilities on the autism spectrum and who have survived a traumatic brain injury. Have developed Family Navigator as a new service with our partners from Easter Seals, the Autism Society of North Carolina, and the ARC of North Carolina to develop this different way of reaching out to families using the lived experience one family member has to another one to really change the way the system works, not unlike peer support has done for our mental health and addiction communities. So today, starting with Ricky, they're going to tell you why Family Navigator is so important to the system. They're just going to come up, give you their little elevator speech, and then they're going to sit down. They're so excited to be here to share this with all of Trillium today as we officially launch our Family Navigator on our Developmental Disability Awareness Day. Ricky.
All right. Well, a quick round of applause if you're excited as I am. Ark of North Carolina. How many people in the room are parents taking kids to kindergarten or off to college if they made it that far to daycare? Can I get a quick show of hands? All right, you remember that first day you dropped them off and you're hoping everything would be okay and, you know, you were a little angst and excited and everything? Well, that's what family navigators are. You're going to have some people who've already been through that experience, family members, relatives, people in the community, and we get an opportunity to help navigate the system and find services, whether that's housing, transportation, employment, or whatever the case may be. So again, my name's Ricky. I'm with Ark of North Carolina, and thanks so much.
That's hard to follow. My name is Kristen Halberg. I'm new to the Family Navigator program. I'm with Easter Seals. And I have a daughter who has verbal apraxia, and I have a son who had a stroke in whom that has resulted in some physical limitations. So I am a military wife, so I've had to start over the resource process once every 3 years for the past 10 years over 4 states, and it is extremely difficult to navigate. And if I had had a family navigator when I arrived at a new state to help me kind of get the resources that I needed, it would have been a lot more helpful, and I would have been able to get my kids the resources that they needed. Excuse me. So the role of family navigator to me is really important because it allows our voice that we have developed over the years to speak for our children and to speak for our families. We get to lend that voice that we've developed to those families that have not yet developed their voice, and that's really exciting to us. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Whittington. I was hired through the North Carolina Autism Society as a new family navigator. I'm a mother to 8-year-old twin boys, Baron and Major. My son Baron is diagnosed with autism and ADHD at age 3. At first, I think my husband and I were in a state of denial. We also had a lot of questions. We didn't know what kind of services he was going to need. Then we also were wondering if he would need an IEP in school. And also the services that he would need in the future. I feel like the position of family navigator is definitely needed, not just in North Carolina, but through all the states. In this position, I hope to help other families get the services that they need.
Hello, I'm Benjamin Pittman. I am with Family Navigators Ark of North Carolina. I'm also a mom and a niece, taking care of loved ones with different levels of IDD. In this position, it's an exciting step to increasing our efforts with helping the families and individuals, connecting them with the specific resources of their specific communities, and the knowledge to empower them to look forward to more resources. Not only are we going to be networking with the families, but also with our communities to bring awareness and advocacy for the families and within our community.
I'm Justina Paggio, and I'm with the Ark of North Carolina. I feel like the Family Navigator service is going to be different in what is needed. For the simple fact that I've been on the provider side, and I've also been on the family side, and I know that frustration and that feeling when you're going through a lot and you're trying to navigate the system and also take care of those loved ones and make sure their needs are met and they're getting all that they deserve and need. So I think the Family Navigator, having someone that's been there and been in that situation, being able to connect with you and connect you to other resources is going to be key to really helping some of those gaps get filled.
Hi, my name is Holly Connor. I'm married to 4 kids. My oldest is 18 and he is on the autism spectrum. Family Navigator to me is something that seems like a very natural step. Who better to know what families need than families? And if you can find families that are able to advocate for themselves and to then be able to express it in a way that a family can, and translate this language and all the services. Who better than a family member who has been there, who's done it, who's made the mistakes, who has tried to correct those mistakes and come around and tried other options. I feel like Family Navigator is definitely going to be something that provides a unique perspective and gives families the ability to feel as though they are heard on their level based on what they need and being translated by somebody that gets it. And it's going to be something that truly bridges the gap between what families are needing and what we're going to see families getting. So I'm excited to see families being able to have a voice and be able to go forward and feel confident in the services that they're getting.
Hey, I'm Teresa Nevin, and I'm an autism resource specialist with the Autism Society of North Carolina, and I'm also going to be part-time family navigator. I have 3 boys on the autism spectrum, 2 of which get innovations waiver services, and 1 who's on the wait list. And, you know, in all my years of working with the Autism Society and receiving calls from families, the one thing that I see so much is that parents don't know what's out there. They don't know who Trillium is. They don't know what kind of services that they might or might not be capable of getting. I am currently helping to facilitate parents of adults with autism support group, and we found that, you know, the majority of those adults do not have any services. They are not linked up with any agencies. It's really quite frustrating to see. So I feel like this is a really great opportunity to reach out and to, you know, grab these families, give them a hand, give them information, give them some empowerment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Heather Coster. I'm the ICS program manager for Easter Seals. My biggest role model was born 18 months before me. I grew up with a sibling who has severe autism, who's nonverbal, very aggressive, severe behaviors. Growing up, I grew up in New Jersey, and my mom and dad, I saw them all the time, getting her different providers that were able to help her reach her fullest potential. And in around 2006, we moved down here to North Carolina, and things were a little different down here. And so finding services, I definitely had to help my mom and dad navigate that system a little bit as well. So 20 years from when I was born, or more, I was like 24, I was pregnant. And I was having a son who I knew for sure was going to be a football player because I was a cheerleader. So he just needed to be a football player. So as he started growing, I noticed some developmental delays. He was first diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 3, then came anxiety, sensory disorder, mood dysregulation, and finally when he was 7, he got the diagnosis of autism. When I reached out to my mom, I was like, you know, I don't know what to do. You know, I knew it. I knew since he was 4 he had the autism diagnosis. He didn't get it until he was 7. And my mom said to me, well, he's nothing like your sister because he's very high functioning compared to me. And that broke my heart. So I was like, I don't have anyone to talk to. So I worked in the field since I was 16, so I kind of knew my way around the field. But as I really started working more and more in the field in North Carolina, I really got to connect with other families and kind of helping them find resources as well. Because unfortunately, when a doctor gives you a diagnosis, they don't hand you the resources. They just give you the diagnosis. And that's why I think the Family Navigator position is really, really important to helping families have some more resources after the diagnosis.
All right, well, I think I'm being told I'm the caboose. So this is the last person you'll have to hear from on this. But I want you to know just the passion from working with this amazing group of ladies and so many others that are out there trying to help support individuals.
I now have, my son is going to be 24 in just a couple weeks. He's on the autism spectrum. I've been with the Autism Society for nearly 16 years now in my role, and I cannot tell you how many times I hear from those who will be doing what these amazing people will be doing, that people start to cry on the phone. And they're just so touched that they are finally talking to somebody that really gets it. And thanks to Sydney, thanks so much to Cindy, because her passion was that this really needs to be somebody who has lived experience. Because when somebody on the other end hears that you actually have walked in their shoes and truly get it, it makes all the difference. And what is so neat about this, and the people who we will be reaching and connecting that are on the Medicaid list, these are folks that have been lost. They've fallen between the cracks. So many of them don't know what's out there. You've heard that from so many people here in their personal experiences. But I'm also talking about all those others that may have their own mental health issues, that may have their own educational challenges, that may have their own cultural challenges where they're not reaching out. And we will be reaching out to them in such a warm, amazing way, and trying to get them connected to services here. We're going to hope that they're going to be passing over to many of you. But we're just really, really excited speaking for the group that they're going to be able to finally have that connection to an amazing agency like Trillium truly is. I don't know how many of you know what a cutting edge Trillium is, that you all offer services here that nowhere else in the state are things offered. So we're just really, really excited to be partnering on this, and we're just looking forward to the families that we're going to be reaching who've never been reached. So that's it.
Thank you so much. We do have one change to the agenda. We are going to hear from Seth Sherman with the Wilmington YMCA next. He has a conflict. He is so busy out there in the community sharing about the wonderful things that they are doing. He has somewhere to go right after this. So we're going to move him up in the agenda and hear from Mr. Sherman next on our talk.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate being asked to speak here. I'm the Healthy Living Director over at the Your Family YMCA, which just reopened after a devastating fire a number of years back. And as I'm listening to everybody speak, I'm saying, wow, what an opportunity. I don't know how many of you are members of the Y or know about all the programs that the YMCA has to offer. But listening to Family Navigator and the work that you're doing, which I think we can very easily partner up and provide services. We are an all-inclusive organization. Sure, yes, we have a fitness area. We have basketball courts. We have a couple of pools that we offer water safety instruction. But we are so much more than being just a local gym. And that's why it was important for me to be here today, because as I listen to all of the stories and the work that's being done for the special needs, people on the spectrum, people who are not necessarily in that category, but maybe war veterans who have lost a limb at that. So I wanted to talk to all of you about, yes, we offer all these services, but we are so much more. One of the programs that we started about a year ago was an adaptive rowing program. And that program was started just about a year ago. And that is meant for amputees, people on the spectrum, special needs. And it has proven to be very, very successful for us. So much, in fact, just left Jennifer a couple of our brochures and flyers. We started with one class, and now we have gone to 2 classes per week. And that is free to the community. So as time moves forward, we obviously hope to continue to provide that service. We also offer a program that's called Exercise for All. That meets twice a month on Saturdays, and we invite members of the community free of charge. And that program puts amputees, people on the spectrum, special needs, that program puts them on our fitness floor with a dedicated wellness coach to help them navigate through all of the equipment on the floor. The second part of that program may be time in the pool, where we have a dedicated lifeguard who, again, is helping to assist and keep everybody involved. On occasion, we also run various different classes that allow all of the participants to get into a group, which creates a social atmosphere. So when I think about what the important work the Family Navigator does, Trillium does, we want everybody in this room to know, and everybody across the street that's watching on the monitors, we are a partner right here in Wilmington. Everybody is welcome. We are all inclusive. I hope to see all of you there, and I hope to see all of the people that you serve there. And if you ever have any questions, I will leave a stack of my business cards with Jennifer. Please reach out to me by phone, by email, whatever it takes, and we will do our best to accommodate everybody and anybody. Thank you for your time this morning.
Wonderful, thank you so much, Seth. And now we will move back to our regularly scheduled program and hear from the Sensible Snacks team.
Hello, everybody. I'm Laurie Netterveen. I'm the project developer for Sensible Snacks, and we are honored to be here and thankful for Trillium and their innovation and their funding. Before I talk, I just need to shout out to Teresa Mebin and Kim Tizard. I saw you guys, and y'all were my friends, and it's good to see you. The Family Navigator sounds amazing. I'm just really in awe of all of the programs that are happening. Sensible Snacks is a very wonderful innovation employment model that is desperately needed. I hope that you guys, if you haven't yet, you'll visit our snack truck right outside. We're going to have some treats, prepackaged treats and drinks to go with your pizza lunch. And our food truck manager, Leslie Lawrence, is outside. So that's what's the difference in the change of schedule. We're here to celebrate Disability Awareness Month, but I got to tell you that Sensible Snacks rolls out every day and celebrates disability awareness. And we celebrate the fact that we can come together as a community. Our guys with disabilities can work, and potential employees in the business market can benefit from that. And that's kind of what we're selling every day along with snacks, honestly. You guys know that historically and still today, unfortunately, with all the advocacy out there, this group of people with documented disabilities is underserved, they're underemployed, they're unemployed, and that's a statistic that we all know about, but then nothing really creative has been done to change the model. As an MCO, as a provider, we know the backside of the statistic, what it looks like when somebody leaves high school and is sitting on the couch and is not getting opportunities, or is getting stuck in a job and doesn't have the self-determination to change that job. They're there, and instead of having a viable career. And what that leads to, we know, are unhealthy habits, depression, obesity, honestly, high-cost care. Well, we don't want that anymore. We need to have a valuable work source out there, and that's what we're doing on the truck. And that's why this model is very valuable, and I think it needs to be replicated multiple times in multiple ways. And that's what we're demonstrating in the pilot this year. We have a truck in Ahoskie and a truck in New Bern. How we're doing that is we're educating in two different ways, in a very positive way. Number one, we have transition to employment interns and members come through and learn hard skills and soft skills on the truck in a real life business model. It's not like a mock, we're going to pretend we're having a business. We're trying to make it as much like a food truck as possible so that they're getting real life experience. And that means boss feedback. That means they might have a little mistake or a failure, and they do that in a supported way, in a nurturing way, and then a way that leads to progress so that they are a viable applicant to an employer beyond us. The second thing we're doing, though, is when we are working with business owners and potential employers who want to host us for an event at their work site, or they're just a customer, instead of having those kind of old-fashioned conversations where we try to kind of convince somebody to hire a person with a disability, and it's kind of a serious conversation, it's kind of a conceptual conversation. We don't have to do all of that right now. What we're doing is demonstrating. This is what it looks like. This is how it can be. And look at how positive it can be. And not only one token person, by the way, employed, we have a team. And we have multiple types of people, and we can individualize the work and we can make it work. So we're not kind of having those conversations in a vacuum. We're showing thriving workforce. Why is that valuable? Because somebody that has a purpose in life and that has a job and a fulfilling career is a viable citizen that's contributing to the community. So that's another way that we are contributing to our community. But the other ways are obviously with our food bank partnership, where we help sort food and deliver them to people that don't have a lot of food access. We also have other alliances that we're building along the way, really exciting stuff in collaboration. Like Saturday, New Bern Truck was at a block party in Vanceboro, which is a high need area, and we had a resource fair that was coordinated by the Craven Council, a group of nonprofits. So we're out there trying to show that here's some resources for you. Tomorrow, the Ahoskie truck, they're going to be the snack that blood donors from the Red Cross blood drive get. And so that is just such a beautiful way. Not only are we showing that we have a willing, able workforce, but we're also contributing to initiatives that other citizens in the local communities care about. What is the outcome? What do we want? Ultimately, we want the folks that are learning skills on the truck to get employment, but to get the employment that they like, that they love, that they have the right to be healthier and have a purpose, to have an income, be independent, to have social connections at work like you guys do. We want people like Moira, who might struggle academically in math class, learning the cash register and thriving and loving to work on the food truck so that she can be employable one day. Or someone like Davon, who has a wonderful memory, and he's using it to, he right now is at 6 products he knows accurately without having to repeat it back to the customer. And we're growing that skill. So what is their outcome? They're going to have independent lives, healthier lives, more happier lives. And that's what I think Disability Awareness Month is all about. Thank you. Our worker, Nick, is going to come talk about his experience on the food truck. You're good. Get out.
Hello, my name is Nick. And I am a volunteer on the Sensible Snack food truck. It is really good to learn about new things on the truck. I've learned how to make coffee and I really like that. There is a lot of jobs on the truck to learn about. Soon I will be working on the food truck and getting paid for it as an intern, and I'm excited for that. Before I joined transition to employment and Sensible Snacks, I would volunteer at an animal shelter. And I really enjoy doing that. I have tried almost every job on the truck, but my favorite is seeing the customers and serving them with their snack or drink order. I joined the transition to employment team in August, and I started on the Sensible Snack truck in October. I have learned many skills since volunteering on the truck for that long. When it comes to my favorite task, I love making coffee and tea. I learned how to make tea on the food truck, and I was able to make my mom tea when she was sick. And that was cool. My favorite vent was from the food bank when we handed boxes to the homeless people. This was my favorite then because it was nice to give back to the community, and I made them happy. I like teaching my other friends on the truck how to do some of these tasks because I kind of have a little more experience than them. Sitting in the cab of the food truck is really cool because I like seeing the little scene. The smaller cars from the high truck. Some of the jobs tasks I do to prepare for a vend are measuring out coffee, grocery shopping, and check the maintenance, restocking items on the truck, and other things. I have learned to prepare me for adulthood. I am thankful for Sensible Snacks food truck, and so happy that this will be my first job. I have learned responsibility in the transition to employment program that has helped me with the food truck, like wearing my volunteer shirt on days that we have food truck vend. I am excited for my future on the Sensible Snack food truck and look forward to make paid internship and more vends. Thank you for hearing my story about my time on the food truck that I love so much.
much to Laurie and Nick. Next on the agenda, we have Chloe Hudson with Vocational Rehabilitation.
Hello, everybody. I also brought Chris Woods. He is an independent. He is an independent living counselor, and that's also an important component of our program. How many people, raise your hand if you know what vocational rehabilitation is? Oh, a lot of you. Okay. All right. So I'll move through these pretty quickly then, so not to waste your time. Of course, we are a state agency, and we work with folks that have chronic disabling conditions. We're funded mostly through the federal government, about 83%, I think, federal government, and the rest state funding. Okay, let's see here. And our mission is to promote employment and independence for people with disabilities through customer partnership and community leadership. So we serve Pitt and Lenoir. I have a satellite office in Kinston. So those are the two counties that my office serves. And what do we do? So we provide services to assist an individual that has a chronic disability go to work. This is sign language for work. Everything we do is about work, either helping someone keep a job or get a job. And so it's all focused on work. The eligibility is several parts. Somebody has to have, like I said, a chronic disabling condition, but it can be physical, mental, learning, or emotional impairments. And then these impairments have to result in impediments to employment, and that they require our services in order to be able to either keep their job or get a job. So that's three main issues. So a lot of people have a disabling condition, but they can get and keep their own job, so they don't need us. So that's where the counselor discretion comes in, and the requirements to be a vocational rehabilitation counselor is a master's in rehabilitation counseling. And I'm fortunate when I have positions open, I get lots of applicants because we've got ECU right here that has a rehabilitation counseling program. So the process, so somebody comes in and applies, and then we get information depending on the disability. We get information from psychologists, psychiatrists, medical offices. We also have a transition program where I have 3 dedicated counselors that work specifically with Pitt County schools. And actually I have a vacancy. So right now I'm going out to Rose and Farmville high schools and seeing students. So we start working with them pretty early. Once we do the assessment and figure out, what it is that they need, then we do what we call an individualized plan for employment. And that's the linchpin of what we do. On that document, we spell out what services they're going to need to reach their vocational goal. The vocational goal is clearly stated on there. And then we have places for listing what vendors we're going to use, and counselor comments, and then their comments also. And then it's signed. It's not per se a legal document, but it really is the commitment with the counselor and the client and the parent, if they're a minor, of course, to provide these services and for them to go to work. Let's see, I've got ahead of myself. Okay, so the core services, there's 5 core services. Physical and mental restoration, and then vocational counseling and guidance. That's considered a core service. Vocational training, and this training can be anywhere from training at a community rehabilitation program. How many of you heard of ECVC? Heard of that? East Carolina Vocational Center. Okay, yeah, we partner with them. A lot of our clients go through that program. They also have a component that is for folks that are not going to work competitively but need day programming. So we're not involved with that, but we're involved with the part that trains our clients. Then we have Rehabilitation Technologies. So we have some high-tech stuff we work with, and Independent Living Program also does that. And then again, the big one is the employment services. Okay, so as far as physical restoration, we can sponsor things like surgery, physical therapy, occupational therapy, prosthetics, and orthotics, and short-term assistance with medications. Usually that is like maybe post-surgery, or if they, up to maybe 3 months when they get started on a new medication. We're not long because we do eventually close the case. And again, I said mental restoration. And then the counseling and guidance. So this would be meeting on a regular basis with the VR counselor to talk about their vocational impediments, how they're relating to either getting a job or keeping a job. So we focus on the disability-related issues. And then training. Like I said, we sponsor everything from graduate training, community college training. We have a lot of different short-term occupational and vocational training certificate programs. Work adjustment training, again, that's offered in-house at ECVC, and then we also have some other providers that provide it in the community. And then support and employment, and that's a very intense training that folks, they have a job coach, and that job coach stays with them and fades out once they're able to do the job, but they get that long-term support for the life of the job. Someone will come in twice a month and check on them, and check with the employer too. Rehab technology, we have a rehab engineer that we can use, that they can go out and look at work sites and home modifications also. I don't want to steal anything you're going to talk about. I'm so sorry. I'm battling some bronchitis. And employment services, so we have the job readiness training. We have what we call an employment skills marketing class that we do every month at our office. And that takes people through completing applications, developing resumes. They get to practice and do mock interviews, and they get a certificate at the end of that. And then follow-up again. That's critical, the follow-up piece after somebody becomes employed. We also have what we call secondary or support services. So we can help with transportation. Again, these are short-term, but we can help with transportation if they get a job. We have taxi companies that work with us, or we can provide gas money, for someone until they start getting regular paychecks. We can purchase work clothing. We can purchase occupational tools and equipment. We just had a client this summer. It was a long, complicated case, and it was so successful, but we were able to give him several $1,000s worth of tools that he needed for, he does home restorations. So that was good to see. And programs that work with us, again, we have ECVC, we have the Pitt Community College, we have mental health, you guys, Eastern Carolina Vocational Center, United Cerebral Palsy Supported Employment Services. We work closely with the Job Link Center. In fact, I have staff that are housed there 2 days a week, so to make sure that we're present and visible in the community so folks can make referrals to us. And success, how we measure success. Somebody gets a job that's suitable for them, they're happy with it, it is competitive employment in an integrated setting, and then we follow them for at least 90 days, sometimes longer, depending on what the need is. And that's how our success is measured. We have numbers, that I'm sure all you guys have numbers too, ways that your job is measured. So that's all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Chris Woods, and he's going to talk with you a little bit about independent living.
Okay, I'm going to be real quick. How many of you have heard of independent living? Oh, great, wonderful. Our central focus is to improve a person's quality of life. Our staff consists of 3 counselors. We go in and do a home assessment to determine what the needs are for an individual. In order to qualify for our services, they must have a significant disability, okay? When I say significant disability, it can be arthritis, cerebral palsy, MS, whatever the disability is that limits their function, okay, based upon the services that we're able to provide. There is a financial criteria to qualify for our program, and it's based upon the family size. Within our program, it's offered all across the state of North Carolina, but our office actually covers 6 counties: Hyde, Beaufort, Pitt, Wayne, Lenoir, and Greene counties. What services do we offer? We offer home modifications. We have individuals that have limited mobility or self-care needs. We will go in and do that home assessment to determine what the needs are. In terms of home modifications, bathroom modifications, it can be roll-in shower, grab bars, different things like that. Also, to address their mobility-related needs, it can be installing a ramp or a lift system, because our focus is to improve their quality of life. Many folks, when they hear about independent living, their mind go to the geriatric population, but actually we work with anybody with a significant disability. I just definitely want to make that known. Vehicle modifications. We do vehicle modifications. Once the doctor deems them medically eligible to operate a vehicle, we do send them to driver's rehab, so you don't have to worry about anything. We send them to driver's rehab. Once they get that identified training hours that they need, we will then link up with our engineer for the vehicle modification piece. And some examples of the vehicle modifications is hand controls, lift systems, and things like that. We are very fortunate to have an engineer to be able to look at the home modifications once the counselor goes in and do the home assessment. You know, it's not within our scope of practice. We can say, this may be feasible for that client. However, when the engineer comes in, he determines whether or not it's structurally feasible. And sometimes we go in homes, it's not feasible for any type of home modifications. We do rely on other agencies to offer an alternative to those individuals. We do partner up with the Targeted Key Housing Program. I don't know if you're familiar with that program. They do have an extensive wait list, but that's an alternative, and also the various housing authorities within our catchment area. We do sponsor durable medical equipment for those individuals that need those additional support devices. We do wheelchairs, walkers, crutches, rollators, anything that you name that could improve their functional abilities. Our program offers a personal care program. Our personal care program works different. The client acts as the employer, so they can select who they want to work for them. Okay, we do all the physical requirements, and they just have to manage the hours of their assigned attendance and so forth. So it works very unique, and it meets their unique needs. Our program does offer the service of a service animal. Okay, they're redefining this because now it has gotten so broad in terms of a service animal. Because I think one instance where peacock was considered a service animal, but you know, we are now honing in that documentation in terms of getting it from the physician to determine if that is indeed a service-related animal. Any questions? So if you have a client that has a disability, any types of limitations that they may have, if it affects their mobility, self-care needs, communication, and hearing, please refer them to us. We can partner up. You may have an individual that you guys do supportive housing, found the location, and they need some additional support and them to be able to move in that residence. We can provide that service to them.
And one thing I forgot to mention too, if somebody's getting disability, like Social Security disability or supplemental security insurance, SSI, they're automatically eligible for vocational rehabilitation. It's a little different with independent living.
Right, we do consider that as income, but the majority of our demographics, they normally get about, now it's changed, 780, which is pretty much standard.
Yep.
Any questions? We're actually located right here in Pitt County on 10th Street, 101 Foxhaven Drive.
Right against the new loans. Right before the new loans.
I brought some handouts, but I didn't know this many people would be here. So I'll give it to the powers that be, and they can disseminate it as they see fit so that everybody will have an opportunity to get some of the materials that we do have. Okay? All right, thank you so much for your time.
All right, well, thank you everyone for being flexible with us. We had a few shifts around in our agenda as people had to get to different places and move around. But we are going to break for lunch now, and the staff in Greenville and Ahoskie can definitely patronize the food trucks there, visit with them, interact with them, hear about the wonderful things that they are doing. And thank you so much to everyone for your participation today and help us to be inclusive throughout the month of March. Thanks, everyone.
Hi.